Hello, welcome, and thank you for joining us. On this edition of News 2, I'm April Knight for Sandra Gumansing. Topping our newscast tonight, the Senate Finance Committee continues to evaluate budgetary requests from various government agencies. On Thursday morning, they listened to testimonies from top officials of the Division of Personnel on their almost $3 million budget. Here's more on that hearing. It was Personnel Director Kenneth Herman's turn on the hot seat Thursday morning. He and his team defended the Division of Personnel's budget request for fiscal year 2015 in front of the Senate Finance Committee.
It's been hard lately as my budget has been ever decreasing, and my unique ability to be thrifty is becoming even more difficult, so I can squeeze as much out of the budget that I had to give them a little something, but there's not much to give.
Personnel's 2015 budget continues to show the same downward trend as in the last several years. This year, it's at $2.97 million, $2.5 million of which is charged to the general fund. A bulk of the budget request, about $1.7 million, goes to paying some 40 full-time employees, 32 of them on St. Thomas and 8 on St. Croix. Personnel also oversees the government employees and retirees' insurance coverage, the costs of which are rising because of a trend of poor health conditions. Cancer tops that list. One topic brought up is the health risk assessment fee to be charged to employees. This would allow early identification and, if needed, the treatment of at-risk employees before their health conditions become chronic. But not all of the senators think this is fair.
Not fair for me, who keep myself healthy, don't overstuff myself with wasteful nonsense, to pay the same rates that somebody who recklessly eats should pay.
But Kenneth Herman stresses that poor health is costly, and those costs are eventually laid on the government.
When you have to deal with a $180 million health insurance plan and funding a $180 million education budget, I do not want to have that discussion as to which one you're going to fund. We have to collectively take responsibility for our actions as employees.
Improving employee morale and various leaves of absences were also discussed during the Senate session. The complete presentation can be accessed online at www.dopusvi.org. Meanwhile, the election supervisor has determined that a candidate vying for the position of lieutenant governor is eligible to stay on the ballot. Gubernatorial hopeful Mileto Smith and his running mate Hubert Frederick questioned former Senator Basil Ottley's eligibility to run. In a letter to elections on Monday, the VI code states that a person must be a U.S. citizen and resident and voter of the VI for 5 years in order to run as a lieutenant governor. Ottley moved back to the territory in 2010. Election Supervisor Caroline Fox told the Daily News she reviewed Ottley's records and found him eligible. She said he continued to vote locally while he lived on the mainland. The Smith campaign filed the official challenge with the election system after the Democratic Party told them it was outside of their responsibility. And here are some important election dates to mark on your calendar. July 2nd was the last day to register if you wanted to vote in the primaries. You still have until October 5th to register for the general election. Testing of electronic voting machines will take place on July 31st. August 2nd is the primaries. Then the casting of lots will be held on August 12th to determine the position of names on the general election ballot. November 4th is the general election, and if a runoff is necessary, it will be held on November 18th. Local highway projects underway are in jeopardy of grinding to a halt if Congress doesn't replenish the Highway Trust Fund. On Wednesday, Governor DeYoung wrote to congressional leaders in charge of the federal fund. He urged them to extend the transportation funding authorization that will lapse on September 30th. Without it, there will be significant cuts to highway and transit funding locally and nationally beginning August 1st. Two major projects that would be severely impacted would be the ongoing work on the Melvin Evans Highway on St. Croix and Veterans Drive on St. Thomas. A Puerto Rico resident has been sentenced to more than 30 years in prison in connection with the Tapia drug conspiracy case. The U.S. Attorney's Office announced Thursday that Stephen Torres will be going to prison for 33 months. He pled guilty in January to one count of conspiracy to possess with intent to distribute cocaine. The 27-year-old man was arrested as part of the investigation involving former Director of Planning and Natural Resources, Roberto Tapia. Torres was charged in a 69-count indictment in November, along with 7 other defendants. Well, 9 members of the Legislative Youth Advisory Council, or LYAC, made their elders proud Wednesday morning in spite of having a small audience during their first town hall meeting at the Earl B. Otley Legislative Building. These 9 young people drove an insightful discussion, asking testifiers from different government agencies and organizations some hard questions on youth issues, including youth participation in local politics and cell phone use in schools. The next LYAC Town Hall meeting is on August 5th on the island of St. John. You can call 712-2210 for more information. Well, 19 graduates from high schools across the territory are the recipients of Havenza's annual scholarships. The company made the announcement Wednesday. The awards will continue for 4 years as long as the students maintain good academic standing at an accredited U.S. college or university. The recipients were chosen based on their academic record. The selection committee also looked at financial need compared to other applicants. Officials say preference was given to students who plan to study science or engineering. In addition to this year's recipients, 32 other VI residents who graduated high school previously will continue to receive scholarships during the 2013-2014 school year. The Virgin Islands Waste Management Authority is inviting the public and large solid waste generators to its upcoming strategic planning meetings. The VIWMA recently entered into a contract with the University of the Virgin Islands to assist in developing its 2015 to 2020 strategic plan. The meetings are designed to secure input from the community on the various operations and services provided by the Waste Management Authority. The meetings are scheduled for July 15th on St. Croix, July 16th on St. Thomas, and July 17th on St. John. You can call 712-4962 or 715-9100 for more information. Turning our attention overseas, President Obama says there are more Border Patrol agents and assets along the U.S.-Mexico border than ever before. But Texas Governor Rick Perry says it is not enough to deal with the unaccompanied children streaming into the Rio Grande Valley from Central America. A day after a high-profile meeting between the two leaders, administration officials are on Capitol Hill selling the president's request for billions in emergency funds to deal with the crisis. Craig Boswell has more from Washington.
President Obama is keeping up pressure on Congress to approve his emergency request to deal with a flood of young immigrants at the border and pass comprehensive reform.
Ronald Reagan passed immigration reform, and you love Ronald Reagan, let's go ahead and do it.
The president looked to enlist support from Texas Governor Rick Perry, who sent a letter to the White House in 2012 warning about the problem. On Capitol Hill, Homeland Security Secretary Jay Johnson testified about why the administration needs nearly $4 billion.
Given the added transportation cost, given the added enforcement cost, Customs and Border Patrol will run out of money by mid-September.
About 57,000 children have flooded into the U.S. from Central America since October. That's more than double the 26,000 kids who crossed the border in 2013. The administration is likely to face an even tougher sell in the Republican-controlled House, where their battle lines are already drawn.
This is a problem of the president's own making. He's been president for 5.5 years. When's he going to take responsibility for something?
While the Justice Department waits for money to hire dozens of new immigration judges, those already on the job are now prioritizing the cases of unaccompanied children. Craig Boswell, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
Republicans say they would like to change the 2008 law that requires immigrants from countries other than Mexico or Canada to receive an immigration hearing to determine if there is a basis to apply for asylum. And keeping our eye on the economy, crude oil prices are dropping, and that could translate to some relief at the pump. Experts say the price of gas could drop up to 25 cents a gallon in some parts of the country over the next couple of weeks. The tension in Iraq hasn't impacted supply as feared, and U.S. oil production is on the rise. Here's the New York Stock Exchange with our Stock Market Watch. Everything down, Dow down by 70, NASDAQ 22, S&P 8. And coming up on News 2, how safe is your privacy online, especially when you're out in public? We'll tell you how to protect yourself. Plus, our summer fun segment continues. We'll tell you all the reasons why you might want to come home to St. Croix, even if you live there. We'll be right back. The Community Foundation of the Virgin Islands has been funding or facilitating programs that enrich the lives of the territory's children for decades. But this year, they're trying something different. They've awarded $33,750 in grants to 24 community groups who offer the sort of quality enrichment programs that are usually out of reach for children in low to moderate income families. From math and science prep at UVI to theater arts camps at Historical Theater, and so much more.
Any time that we can support high quality programming and helping to make it affordable for children who wouldn't otherwise be able to access it, we jump all over that. So this is the first year we've kind of shifted our grant program this year, and we're really excited to see what kind of feedback we get from the grantees to see if it really does enable them to help more children. So that's what we're hoping for.
Meanwhile, a recent Consumer Reports survey found 62% of Americans do nothing to protect their privacy online. That can make it easy for hackers to steal personal information. One way hackers can get access to your private passwords is at a Wi-Fi hotspot. Jerica Duncan explains.
Free Wi-Fi is everywhere, from the airport to public parks and coffee shops. It's convenient for consumers, but also a prime target for hackers.
Should people be concerned?
Absolutely.
We went to Gregory's Coffee, where private Wi-Fi security expert Caleb Huff showed us how easy it is for a hacker to steal people's info. Using a device he bought online, Huff set up a fake Wi-Fi hotspot. The store's Wi-Fi is called at Gregory's Coffee. Huff named his fake spot Greg Coffee 1.
That is the rogue hotspot that we've set up here.
I connected to the rogue hotspot and logged into a Yahoo account we set up for this story. Huff could not only see the site I visited, he could also see the username and password I used.
Once I have your password, if you're using the same password on your banking website, I can take your identity.
The easiest way to protect yourself, make sure you're connected to the correct hotspot. Another option is buying a VPN.
A virtual private network. What a virtual private network does is it encrypts everything from your device.
Kent Lawson is the CEO of Private Wi-Fi, one of dozens of companies that sells VPNs. They cost between $3 and $10 a month and are more popular than ever. Lawson says he has nearly 20 times as many subscribers now than he had 2 years ago. Jerica Duncan, CBS News, New York.